Good morning, everyone. I'm Julie Fickus, the campus president of the Forest Park campus of St. Louis Community College. I want to welcome both those in person and those who are online today to our beautiful campus and the Mildred E. Bastian Theater. We are proud to host this important discussion today. You may have noticed that our campus is in the throes of construction as you were trying to park. We are currently in the process of transforming both externally and internally. The building going up on the south side of the campus is a transportation education center that will support our automotive tech, diesel tech, and truck driving programs. You might also have noticed a newer building that popped up along Oakland in 2019. That is our Nursing and Health Sciences building. Each of these buildings will and do provide students with state-of-the-art learning environments that mimic those of our industry partners. Our students are graduating with incredible skills and making a difference in our community. Internally, the transformation we are doing will align our structure to career areas of study that will help guide students along their educational journey more smoothly. The conversation that will occur today will help us to continue to find ways to meet our community where they are so they can enter these pathways to family-sustaining careers. Here are just a few housekeeping details for today. If you need a restroom, the restrooms are located down the stairs and in the hallways on either side of the atrium. The men's restrooms are over on this side, women's on this side. If you need an elevator to get to them, just go right across the lobby here and in those double doors, and there's an elevator right there for you to get downstairs. We will have food, just the snacks that we had this morning, and drink available while you're here today. And so I think that's all the pieces. Also, I was asked to remind you there are no open drinks and food allowed in the theater, but please feel free out in the lobby areas to partake. Thank you for being here today. And again, welcome to the Forest Park campus of St. Louis Community College. And without further ado, I will introduce our Chancellor, Dr. Jeff Pittman.
Thanks, Julie. Good morning, everyone. It's absolutely my extreme pleasure to be here to welcome you to the Forest Park campus. Really excited about this event. And you know, we live and die by data, and as a community college, our mission is to serve the citizens of the St. Louis region, whether they're wanting to pick up some college credits, complete an associate degree, or transfer, or go directly into the workforce because there are just so many jobs right now. But the college, as Julie mentioned, we're doing quite a bit of work on this campus. We have 4 campuses across the district. We're in the midst of about $500 million of construction going on right now in workforce programs in healthcare, IT, financial services, advanced manufacturing, transportation, biotechnology. You just think about all the employment sectors, that's where we are. So we're working very hard to extend our programming because of the workforce needs in this community. And we want to be able to reach out to every population that we can. And we can't do that without the type of work that you're doing. So we really, really appreciate that. I want to say, I've already mentioned this to a couple of you this morning, let us know how we can partner with you and work with you to improve St. Louis. That's where our heart and passion is, and we want to do what we can. The college is working hard to build very affordable pathways. We have not raised tuition for 4 years now. So I'm very proud of the faculty, staff, and our trustees for supporting that. We're still $122 a credit hour, and that includes all tuition fees and no hidden costs at all there. So we're here, we're available for anyone who wants to obtain a higher education, and we work with all different kinds of populations. So this work for us is crucial. So thank you for being here and for your hard work. And I think I'm supposed to introduce our moderator, and I'll call up Diago Abante, is President and CEO of Casa de Salud. Could you please join me in welcoming Diago?
take me a minute to get my technology. Buenos dias. Good morning. It's my pleasure to welcome you guys here this morning. Again, my name is Diego Bente, and I'm the president and CEO of Casa de Salud, and I'm also a proud board member of ECORN-MO. Today, we're going to delve into the power of the census and how it helps us serve a growing and diverse population. The census is more than just a head count. It's a vital tool for ensuring everyone is heard and their needs are met. It guides the allocation of vital resources, and it ensures that they are distributed fairly to the entire community. And it can have a profound impact in that way in the lives in each and every one of us and the people that we hold dear. So today, we've invited really excellent guests from the US Census Bureau who are going to walk us through how to leverage that incredible and powerful tool of the Census Bureau and help us bring voice to the diverse communities that we represent and that we are here in St. Louis. I'm excited about what we're going to learn this morning, and I hope you are too. And to get us started, I'd like to invite Galen Gritz to the podium. Galen is a member of the Cherokee Nation and speaker of the Missouri Humanities Council. Galen, please come to the podium.
OCO, Dakwadoa, Galen Gritz, Chilachi, Sedalawa'i, Degega, St. Louis, Wado. Hello, my name is Galen Gritz. I'm a Cherokee from St. Louis. Thanks for inviting me to speak with you this morning. I'm always honored to be among people that are smarter than me, that work passionately in the community for the betterment of all of us. It was exactly 351 years ago this very year that Louis Joliet and Jacques Marquette, French explorers, canoed down the Mississippi River past where St. Louis is today, becoming the first non-native people to be here. DeSoto had actually come across southern Missouri at one point, but not much came from that. But with the arrival of the French, things started to change. Now, native people have been here for at least 14,000 years. Might have been here longer than that by far, but that's when we have evidence of them being here as far as artifacts. In this space that we now call Missouri, this is known as the era of native independence. And during that time, we lived here without damaging the earth. The era of native independence dwarfs the history of the United States. It took the dominant culture a mere 351 years to tilt not merely the state, but the entire planet towards disaster. This stick represents 48,000 years. And the white part represents when the native people lived here by themselves, the era of native independence. The black part, the little tiny part at the end, represents when Joliet showed up, the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, the invention of the telephone, the invention of the television, the invention of the iPhone, and Taylor Swift's Eras Tour. So that's what we tend to learn as American history. You would notice that the rest of the history, the majority of it, we don't know very much about. Now keep in mind that the earliest records of ancient civilizations like Egypt, Phoenicia, Greece, and China tend to be only 4,000 to 5,000 years old. 12,000 years ago, there was no one in the British Isles because it was covered with a sheet of ice. And that's where the Pilgrims eventually came from. But there were people here in the state of Missouri. We are not immigrants. We are the first people here. Everyone came after us. And we are members of a sovereign nation, so we have a double nationality. And that makes us very distinct in that sense. Also, we're the only first true pioneers because there was absolutely no human beings here when we came. And a pioneer is defined as being the first there. So if you hear somebody else describe themselves as a pioneer, they are not telling the truth. We were invaded and conquered, not settled. That's why we have cities with names like Fort Wayne, Fort Smith, Fort Worth. These are all offensive forts
to consolidate the land that was taken from the people that were here. This was not a wilderness. It had supported us for a long time. We're beginning to find a lot of evidence of how the native people took care of the land and the rivers and did certain things without damaging them. And we lived here very happily and healthily. So I would like to recognize, and now you're going to sigh relief because I'm getting to the land recognition, the Osage or the Osage and the Missouri tribes in whose land we now occupy. Obviously, the state is named after the Missouri. And the Osage were the predominant tribe here by the time the French, Spanish, and Americans arrived. In addition, there were other tribes here. This is a big waterway. Cahokia had been here before. People traded from all over, not only this continent, but all the way down into Central America and South America as well. So they were the Oto, the Sauk and Fox, the Iowa, the Kaw, the Illini, the Kickapoo, the Peoria, the Shawnee, the Delaware, the Sioux, and the Piankashaw. There's probably a handful of others that came through at different times as well. Recently, I had the great honor to meet many members of most of these tribes, and I am mindful that these people continue a sacred relationship with the lands that we now occupy, and I recognize and appreciate their integral contributions to the cultural heritage of this state and our nation's history. In many ways, I'm not supposed to be here. Native people were a nuisance because we wanted to keep what was ours. We had a real estate problem. We owned all of it, and the dominant culture wanted it and ended up getting it. For thousands of years, this space was 100% Native American people. Today, we make up 0.4% of Missouri's population. And that's why Native folks like to say, party like it's 1491. Wado, thank you.
Thank you, Galen. It's now my distinct pleasure to introduce a good friend of mine and a fierce advocate for everyone being counted, Sal Valadez. Chair for Sal. Sal's the board chair of ECORN-MO, the Ethnic Communities Opioid Response Network, and he's going to help us set the tone by sharing a short presentation with us about how important it is that we count everybody in our community.
Thank you, Diego. Galen, thank you very much for the land acknowledgement. And the dynamic continues. Our story here in St. Louis, in our nation, is still a story of immigration and migration, the movement of people. Good morning, everyone. And thank you, Dr. Fickus, Chancellor Pittman, St. Louis Community College for hosting this event. And welcome and good morning to our speakers, presenters, and the participants who have joined us in person and online on this early Friday morning. The topic of today's seminar is Disaggregated Demographic Data at the Intersection of Research, Diversity, and the Social Determinants of Health, presented by our friends from the US Census Bureau. We hope that the presentation and conversation will initiate ideas and further discussions on how inclusive, disaggregated demographic data can help us better understand and serve our marginalized and underserved communities in terms of the social determinants of health and research. Recently, I was in a community advisory board meeting with Risa Rollins, and she said something that said it all, I think. And she said, there's no people without numbers and no numbers without people. And this is reflected, her sentiment is reflected in the advice from our diverse communities, is reflected in the behavioral action plan for our region. And our first objective is to identify policies and procedures and guidelines to implement and advocate those structural determinants of health that create barriers to positive behavioral health outcomes. And one of the most important ones is addressing the role of disaggregated data, race, gender, limited English proficiency, and I would suggest other data points. So there's a relationship between the social determinants of health and how we include diverse communities and include the unique experiences of diverse individuals. So what does this mean? How do we define inclusive and complementary data that is the quantitative data, the numbers, and the qualitative data, which is people and stories? And I would like to suggest that at the core of this whole is disaggregated demographic data. And so it's very important that we have this discussion here today. Why is this important? Data drives research, research drives policy, funding, programs, and services. Currently, this is what's happening in my humble perspective. And this is very important for the future of our communities if we are to use demographic data as actually the starting point. I would like to acknowledge contributors. We have representatives from the East-West Gateway of Council of Governments here today. I recommend that people visit their webpage, the St. Louis Regional Data Alliance, the International Institute. We have our great speaker and leader, President and CEO Ari Owenson, speaking in a little bit. And with gratitude to our sponsor, my employer, the Labor's International Union of North America, Missouri and Kansas Labor's District Council. And of course, many thanks to the members of our planning committee from St. Louis Community College and ECORN-MO. I hope you enjoyed the day. I hope you find this informative, and I hope this gives you another perspective, an added perspective about how we collaboratively work together to address some very, very important issues. Thank you very much.
Luckily, I don't have any slides to present. I do have the pleasure then of introducing you to Ari Owenson. He is the current president and CEO of the International Institute of St. Louis, my former employer, so a very, very special place in my heart as well. As you and many of you may know, the International Institute is the region's premier refugee resettlement organization and also immigrant services providing organization, and serves importantly as a beacon of hope and attraction, and more importantly, of retention of a diverse community in our region. So, Ari, please come to the podium.
Good morning, everybody. It's a pleasure for me to be here on this campus. Beautiful, beautiful hall. I was telling my colleague that we have to do something in this place. It's so beautiful. We have a crisis in St. Louis, but we have tremendous opportunity. In fact, it is said that the Chinese write crisis using two words. And one word is challenge, and the other is opportunity. So every time you have a crisis, you have a challenge, and you have an opportunity. For those who know me, the word opportunities I always use this word. In fact, I published a book with the title, Bridging the Opportunity Gap, with a simple premise that individuals, organizations, or communities that focus on their challenges become defined by their challenges. On the same hand, individuals, organizations, or communities that focus on their opportunities become defined by their opportunities. In the last 2 decades, and particularly in the last year, we've continued to see a decline in the population of St. Louis. A decline for several reasons, because our death rates are now higher than our birth rates. And we see an outward migration of young people who come to beautiful universities and educational institutions that we have. About 65% of them leave. We're seeing a significant movement of people from the city to the suburbs. And the outward migration, interestingly, of Black female single women and their children out of the city. So in the last year, we saw a decline in population. But in that decline, we also saw a silver lining. And in that silver lining, if we just had 2,000 more people come into the city, we would have had, for the first time in a quarter of a century, a net zero decline in population in St. Louis. What does this mean? Well, at the International Institute, we serve an average age of immigrants who come into this community at 25 years old, with an average family size of about 6. So as we think about the population decline, here's where the opportunity comes. How can we make St. Louis so welcoming that the immigrant population around the country and abroad looks at St. Louis as a place where they can come, live, and thrive? That has been my objective. For the last 3 years that I've served at the International Institute, I had this objective. One is change the narrative around immigration and immigrants and really focus on the value that they bring to our community and how they contribute to the development of our community, but really enhance our cultural experience as a community. It has been proven the world over that communities that embrace cultures from different parts of the world are communities that continue to thrive. So there's no question about that if you look at the facts. And so we've spent a lot of time really highlighting the value, telling the stories of immigrants and immigration. And for everything that we know about St. Louis and its history, from our architecture to the name of its streets, all of that is composed of people who have come from different parts of the world to make this community what it is. And if we look back at the history of St. Louis, we'll see that at a time when the world was converging on our rivers, that's the time when this community prospered at its best. But we could reinvent that future again if we choose to. Secondly, we wanted to build a coalition of organizations that are working and collaborating together to make St. Louis welcoming for those who come and for those who have the opportunity to consider coming to St. Louis. As we speak, we have probably the biggest opportunity that we've had in the last 40 years. We are welcoming the largest number of immigrant arrivals to St. Louis at this moment. 2 years ago, we thought we had reached our threshold when the Afghans were arriving. But if you think that was a lot of people coming to St. Louis, think about this moment where we're doing 70% more arrivals. In the last 4 months, we have received over 750 new arrivals into St. Louis from 23 different countries and speaking 55 different languages. That is a multicultural St. Louis happening. We look forward to this year being the year in which we're challenging the community. Let this year be the year that we get a net zero loss in population in St. Louis. There's not one organization that can do it. It is not the International Institute alone. It is us working together to change the narrative about St. Louis, to talk about what is possible, to talk about a future that is multicultural, a future that embraces our diversity and opens opportunities for everyone to prosper. That is what we hope we can do together. But it would take all sectors of society. It would take the city and county collaborating. It would take small, medium-sized, and large businesses participating and playing their part. It would also take the 17,000 not-for-profit organizations that we have in this community, not seeing themselves as competing, but working together to build a community that is thriving. That's our hope. That's the vision that we have. That's the goal that we have. And we hope that these conversations about our population can turn around from what is wrong with this region to what could be right. Because the only people who can make it right is each one of us. So I'm looking forward to the conversations here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ari. Our most exciting days are still ahead of us. That's what I take away from what you said, and I'm excited to hear you say that. And it's because our most exciting days are still ahead of us that I'm very excited, third time, to call our next presenter to the podium, Gilberto Pinella. Gilberto is the director of our city's first Office of New Americans. I'm going to say that one more time, our first Office of New Americans. Thank you very much. And that's important because our most exciting days are still ahead of us, and his role represents a significant step forward in building a diverse and growing and thriving region. From our public services through our individuals in our community, it is so important that we have someone like Gilberto representing the diverse community that we want to build and that we're here today to count. So Gilberto, please.
Muchas gracias, mi amigo. Diego Avente. Before I start, and I am going to keep it brief so we can get to the meat of this. Before I start, I just want to say this is home. San Luis Community College is home. This is where I started. This is what gave me my associate's degree in communications to then eventually evolve to where I'm at today, right? So I remember... I always have that in my heart, and I remember being on this stage, rappelling from back there and jumping in as the military guy in the story of Job. So that was almost 20 years ago. Anyway, never forget that one. Well, buenos dias, good morning. As Diego Avente mentioned, I'm Gilberto Pinella, the director of the inaugural director of the San Luis Office of New Americans. And I want to say that on behalf of Mayor Tishara Jones, I would like to extend a warm welcome to Roberto Ramirez and the US Census Population Division team. Welcome. Bienvenidos a nuestra gran ciudad. And I will have to tell you that we have a lot of great stuff going on, especially today. I encourage you to go to the exhibit of the 1904 Wells Fair at the Missouri Historical Society, the Missouri History Museum. If you have time, stop by La Calle Cherokee for some authentic tacos de carne asada, deliciosos. Or you can join us later on today at the City Social, which is happening down on Washington Avenue, beginning at 5 o'clock, and it's going to be lit, as the young people say. Anyway, as Mayor Jones mentioned during the State of the City address, and thank you, Ari, for giving me that segue, San Luis is in the middle of a renaissance. We are building a safer, stronger, and healthier city. And the Office of New Americans plays an important role by helping attract and retain global talent to help increase our population and strengthen our workforce. From what we know today, and you saw the news yesterday, it is not an easy task. However, working with government agencies, the private sector, and direct service providers such as the International Institute, San Luis Mosaic Project, San Francisco Community Services, Casa de Salud, and many others, rest assured the odds are in our favor. Always. I'm excited to learn from Chief Ramirez and his team about what our population challenges are today and where the opportunities exist to continue creating a safer, stronger, and healthier future for all, and to keep St. Louis a welcoming, engaging, safe city where foreign-born communities have resources to thrive and ensure they belong. So once again, I want to thank you, Chancellor Pittman, Dr. Ficus, and St. Louis Community College for hosting this very important conference, Salva Valadez and the team of Liuna for sponsoring the event, Galen Gritz of the Cherokee Nation and Missouri Humanities Council for the land acknowledgement, which is very important, because we are here for a second, but while we're here, let's make a difference, right? And representatives from County Executive Dr. Sam Page Office and the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Division 7 for your participation and contribution. And again, on behalf of Mayor Jones, bienvenidos a nuestra ciudad de San Luis y muchas gracias.
Man, I'm getting my steps in. So next, I have the distinct pleasure of congratulating our next speaker first, Damon Broadus, who is now Acting Deputy Director of the St. Louis Department of Public Health. So let's give Damon a round of applause and congratulations. He's going to jump on the podium, yes? No, he's going to take the stairs. I just want to say something about Damon, because Damon and I had the pleasure of working together as we were emerging from the pandemic and throughout the pandemic in reality. And he has been, I can say from my personal interactions with him and the County Department of Public Health, an incredible collaborator and partner and someone whose heart is truly in the mission of serving all of the constituents in his area. And that is a champion that we need more of in all of our public services. So congratulations on the new title, and please come to the podium.
Good morning. I trust everyone is doing well. Thank you for that gracious introduction and inviting me, Sal, as a board member. As was said, collaborations are important, partnerships are important, and it's important at an individual level, family, community, and just policy level, and that's how we make change for the better for St. Louis. So I thank you again for inviting me. Sal and I go way back. We were in Washington University's Community Research Fellows training program, which is basically a master's level public health training program that you complete in like 16 weeks. So we got to know each other well. And over the last few years, you know, I see a number of board members in the crowd as well. Tony Maldonado. Yeah, I shouldn't start listing names because I'll forget someone. But Tony was there when we had to outreach to the Latinx community and get individuals involved, you know, and it was about vaccination rates and, you know, just educating the community on the importance of what, you know, or how COVID-19 impacted us. But with that said, that's not why I'm here today, which is also why I have a script. I've been in my new acting directing role for approximately, I calculated yesterday, 32 hours. You know, quite honestly, you know. So I'm pulling double duty as well because I am also the division director for health promotions and public health research, which is the nature of all of our partnerships. Sal showed a slide of the behavioral health action team. That's part of the regional approach that we have with the City Department of Health and about 40 to 50 other partners to address 5 priorities within the Community Health Improvement Plan. So behavioral health is one. I won't list them all, but all the way to violence prevention. And we have subject matter experts in all those different areas. And what brings us here today around, opioid response, things like that, that also is involved with my division, health promotions, but with the agency overall. I'm here today just to talk about the crucial role of inclusive data in promoting equity and how this impacts policy systems and environmental change from a public health perspective. In our diverse communities, health disparities are persistent challenges. Equity in public health means ensuring everyone has a fair and just opportunity to be as healthy as possible. To achieve this, we must embrace inclusive data, and I'm sure our guest today, our distinguished guest today, will discuss how data reflects the experiences and needs of all community members, particularly those who have been historically marginalized. Inclusive data is more than just numbers. That was said earlier on the slide from the Behavioral Health Action Team. It's about, Risa Rawlings specifically from the Regional Health Commission. It's about collecting and analyzing information that represents the full spectrum of our population, including various racial, ethnic, and socioeconomic groups. This comprehensive approach allows us to identify health disparities and their root causes. For instance, during the COVID-19 pandemic, data disaggregation by race and ethnicity revealed significant disparities in infection rates and outcomes, health outcomes. This insight was crucial for developing targeted interventions that save lives. We partnered with many different groups across the spectrum on what we call pop-up events, which was attractive and relevant, culturally relevant to individuals. I don't care if it was, I see Carolyn Fan. I don't care if it was the Asian community, the Hispanic community, or the Black community. Black, Indigenous, and people of color were impacted disproportionately by COVID-19. Without that data, we couldn't have targeted interventions, as I said, that was culturally relevant and brought people out to learn more about what this, devastating disease is and how we can overcome it. But with that said, when we prioritize inclusive data, we can shape policies that address the unique needs of different communities. Take, for example, the allocation of healthcare resources. Without accurate and inclusive data, resources might be distributed inequitably. Just a little bit, huh? Is that where we're at today? But with that said, failing to reach those in the greatest needs. By contrast, data-informed policies ensure that resources are allocated based on actual community needs, promoting fairness and improving overall public health outcomes. And related to that, again, I keep referring to the opioid response. That's what our team is doing now. How do we elevate community voice and decision-making through a participatory budgeting process to make sure when dollars are allocated, whether it's the opioid settlement funds, we recently were awarded a couple of different grants from the Center for Disease Control and the Department of Justice, but we need that participatory budgeting to make sure we're meeting people where they are with the needs to help overcome this devastating epidemic. Inclusive data also drives systemic change. Healthcare systems can be redesigned to be more accessible and effective for all populations. For instance, if data shows that certain communities have higher rates of chronic diseases like diabetes, hypertension, health systems can develop specialized programs to address these conditions, ensuring that preventive care and treatment are more equitable and effective. Moreover, environmental change stems from the insights provided by inclusive data. Public health isn't confined to hospitals and clinics. It encompasses the environments where people are born, live, work, play, and pray. Data that highlights disparities in environmental factors such as air quality, access to green spaces, and availability of healthy, affordable foods guides interventions that create healthier environments for everyone. For example, if data indicates that low-income neighborhoods lack safe recreational areas, policymakers can advocate for the development of parks and community centers, fostering healthy lifestyles. However, achieving truly inclusive data is not without its challenges. It requires overcoming systemic biases, engaging with communities to ensure their voices are heard, and continually refining our data collection methods to be more comprehensive and accurate. In conclusion, inclusive data is the foundation of equitable public health policy, systemic improvement, and environmental change. By committing to data that truly reflects our diverse communities, we can create policies and systems that ensure everyone has the opportunity to achieve optimal health. This is the call to action. I urge all of us to support initiatives that prioritize inclusive data and equity, recognizing that our collective well-being depends on the health of each and every community member across the St. Louis region. So I'm glad Sal and ECORN board was able to, convene this group for that reason. And again, welcome to St. Louis, and we thank you for your expertise and what you're going to share with us here in the near future.
All right, it's finally time. It's time for the main event. I can see Roberto getting up right now. Give me a second. I got to talk. That's what I got paid for. I heard Damon talk about call to action. Call to action is what we're about to do for the next 2 hours. We're going to learn how to use this tool to raise up the voices of those who haven't been heard before, to talk about the communities that we love and that we represent. And so let's celebrate, let's enjoy, let's learn from these distinguished guests, and let's use the census for what it's intended to be used for, to really paint the picture of who we are as a nation and our glorious diversity. So I'm excited for that. Damon, Roberto, you can now stand up. It's all good. I am going to say your title, though, because you've asked. So this is Roberto Ramirez, the Assistant Division Chief of the US Census Bureau. He's going to introduce his team, and as I said, I'm excited to now get to work and use this census to help us raise up the voices of the people we love and the people we represent. Roberto.
Okay, I'm going to ask, the team's going to sit up here with me. Okay, good morning, St. Louis. Very thrilled to be here. My very first time in St. Louis. So we already hit the town last night, checked out some blues, so that was great. We had a really great time. Unfortunately, my colleague Matt leaves tonight, but I get to stay one more night, so really excited to do that. And actually, my other two colleagues, Rex and Virginia, are also going to stay as well, so we're looking forward to that. And perhaps we will join you. Thank you for the invitation at 5 o'clock on Washington Street, right? Yeah, so definitely. Sounds exciting. All right, so why don't we all go ahead and get started. Okay, so my name is Roberto Ramirez, and I'm very excited and honored to be here today alongside with my colleagues, Matthew Spence, who's the Senior Advisor in Population Division, Virginia Jenkins, who is in the foreign-born branch. She's going to discuss with you the foreign-born population, which we heard a lot about today. And then we have Rex Kung from the Dissemination Outreach branch. So we're very excited to do that today, and we have a lot of great information to share with you. So, and I also want to thank Sal and ECORN and Dr. Fickus and the St. Louis Community College for inviting us to be here with you today. You know, the theme of today's workshop, research, diversity, and the social determinants of health, fits very nicely with the key data products that we're going to showcase to you this morning. Because we're going to provide a demographic portrait of the United States and how it's diversifying linguistically, ethnically, and racially across the nation. So we are conducting a 2-hour workshop, so please bear with us. We're actually going to encourage questions after each of the different sessions because we know we really want this to be interactive. We're here to talk to you about our data products, and if you have any questions, we like to answer them if we can. We want it to be interactive. So now, there's going to be a little shuffling back and forth because I'm going to do the first couple of slides and Matt's going to pop in and then Virginia, so just bear with us as we go because we have a lot of great content here and we want to make sure that we share it with all of you here today. So, we have slides, we're going to conduct live data visuals, we're actually going to conduct live data, how you can download the tables. We really want to show you the data that's available. One of the things that we have discovered over the years is that a lot of folks don't really know how much data we really have. And it's already there, and it's all paid for already by you, the taxpayers. We're public servants, so we're here to serve you. So, let me tell you a little bit about the Census Bureau, because many of you may not know all the details about the Census Bureau. So the Census Bureau is the largest of the 13 primary federal government statistical agencies. We are actually a statistical agency. We're not a policy agency. We just provide the core demographic and socioeconomic data to policy agencies and to the general public like yourselves. In addition to the census, to the decennial census, which we conduct every 10 years, we also conduct over 130 different surveys of households and businesses across the country each year. This includes the American Community Survey, our flagship survey that you're going to hear about shortly. And we also do other surveys like the Household Pulse Survey and 30 other household surveys. For the purpose of today's workshop, we're only going to talk about data products from the decennial census and the American Community Survey. Otherwise, we would actually literally be here till midnight tonight. And I don't think you all want to do that. But we definitely want to showcase some awesome products that we have in the next few slides. We also, by the way, may not be aware that the Census Bureau also conducts an economic census every 5 years of businesses throughout the country. And we also do a census of governments as well in the country. So just a little trivia in case someone else asks you what the census does between, the interim between censuses. There's all these other things that we're doing. The Census Bureau's mission is to serve the nation's, we want to be the leader and provider of quality data from its people and economy. And one of the main goals is to collect and produce highest quality statistics about the nation's diverse population. So you may not know that our last census was conducted 4 years ago, April 1st, 2020. The Census Bureau conducts a census every 10 years, as I just mentioned, and is actually mandated by the US Constitution. Article 1, Section 2. Our first census was in 1790, and we've been conducting the census ever since, every 10 years. The census is about fair representation and redistricting. Census counts are used to reapportion the congressional seats in Congress to states and ensure that proper congressional district representation is applied. Census counts also affects how over $670 billion in federal funding is distributed to state, local, and tribal governments. And many is actually the single best source of data all the way down to the lowest levels of geography in the country. So the American Community Survey, so that was the decennial census that happens every 10 years, so keep that in mind because we're going to talk about a data product, about disaggregated data that's coming from the census. And I want to introduce you a little quickly about the American Community Survey, and then Matt's going to come up here and tell you a little bit more about it, and then we're going to get into the data. So the American Community Survey, on the other hand, is a household sample survey. It's a flagship survey of the Census Bureau, and it's the largest survey, actually one of the largest surveys in the world. The ACS is on the leading edge of survey design, continuous improvement, and estimates and data quality. It's the nation's most current, reliable, and accessible data source for local statistics for critical planning topics, as we've heard from our previous speakers here today. The survey samples approximately 3.5 million addresses a year. These data are collected continuously throughout the year to produce annual social, demographic, economic, housing, and demographic estimates. The data is collected through the questionnaire, as you can see here, or you can also collect it via the internet or telephone. And this is all the information that we collect and tabulate, which we're going to be highlighting in a few seconds here. And we also release data in 1 year estimates and 5 year estimates that Matt's going to talk to you a little bit more about. And so why don't we go ahead and do that and bring Matt up here. And he's going to walk you through real quickly. And the shuffle begins. Okay.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Roberto. Thank you for joining me. So I'm here to talk about the American Community Survey and the decennial. Really, my goal is to just really repeat these two different sources again and again, because these are really what I think most people are looking for when they're looking for census data. They're looking for data about their community. They're looking for, potentially the official counts. We're going to talk about what kind of content is in each source. But generally, those are the two sources. So they're very, very similar, but here are a couple of differences. So the first thing is the American Community Survey, as Roberto mentioned, it's a sample. It's a big sample. It's 3.5 million housing units or addresses every single year. That's amazing. So that's more than 3 million people. That's many more million people. So because of that, we're able to really produce really great sample estimates, even at very small levels of geography, because we have such a big pool. But it's not the official counts where we enumerate every single person, right? It is a sample. The decennial census, over here on the right, are the official counts, and that's when we are tasked by the Constitution and by law to go out and count every single person. The census is the official way that we apportion seats. It's the official way that we redistrict members of Congress, and it forms the base population for the population estimates, which I've heard some discussion of, the population estimates, and that sort of helps us anchor in time, because we'll have an estimate and we'll see how good was our estimate based on how do we count every single person from the decennial. So we're going to see this on the next slide, but the ACS conducts it's a big sample. It's a big survey. It has so much detailed social, economic, and housing characteristics. It really has everything from the year your house was built to what kind of fuel it uses to everything like that, commuting patterns, occupation. Whereas the census is really basic demographics. It's sex, age, race, Hispanic origin, and some household type. Very basic demographics. As you can see, we have different sort of products that are produced. The ACS, we have data every single year. We release data every single year from the American Community Survey. It's actually, as you can see at the bottom, it says period of time. We actually have people out in the field every single month of the year. There are people right now, probably within a few miles of us, who are knocking on doors or replying to the American Community Survey now as we speak. And what we do is we pool all of the responses from a 12-month period, and that is the 1-year estimates. And then if we pool 5 years worth of data, that's the 5-year estimates. So that's just the idea. It's like it's always going on. It's always just continuously gathering new data, and we will pool things together. Versus the decennial census, which again is just a point in time. We say April 1st, 2020, and that's just where we are. It's a point in time. So here's the slide that covers all of the different content available on the American Community Survey. It has things like ancestry, language spoken, educational attainment, marital status, income, industry and occupation, like I mentioned, kitchen, plumbing facilities, computer and internet use. And this can be really, really useful for sort of determinants of social health research because, you might say, well, we want to get the word out. Let's look at what kind of broadband access our communities have because that will help us tailor our message. Maybe in certain areas with good broadband, good internet, we could use an online method, but in areas where we don't have good broadband or internet usage, we might have to use a different approach, a telephone-based approach, or an in-person approach. So that can really help you target your messaging. So this is really the American Community Survey has so much data. Now, if you look at that box that says demographic, age, Hispanic origin, race, relationship, and sex, and then a couple of variables on the housing. So in particular, occupancy and tenure, whether you own or rent your house, and then household type, basic household type. But again, that's sort of like relationship. Those are what's available on the decennial census. So it's a subsection that's available on decennial. So one thing I want to point out is we publish data. Everything that we publish is tied to a particular geography. We call them, geographies or areas. We might think of them as cities or towns. We might think of them as counties. But this is, the list of some of the geographies we publish. So of course we start with nation. We always are publishing nation. We publish nation for both the American Community Survey and the decennial census. We publish regions of the country, divisions. So this is like the southeast or the northeast. Then states nest within those. Counties nest within states. So, St. Louis County, St. Louis City is a county equivalent, right? So that gets nested in there as well. Madison County, Illinois, that's in a different state that's nested within Illinois. Within counties, we call them census tracts. You may have heard this term, but generally these are sort of neighborhoods, you could kind of think of them. They're a collection of people. They're usually about 3,000 or 4,000 people in every census tract. That's what we shoot for. Sometimes they're smaller, and very rarely they're larger, but generally it's around 3,000 to 4,000 people. So you might think of it as a really nice way to sort of split up your city or split up your county into kind of like neighborhoods. They're not quite the same as zip codes, but you could kind of think of them like they might be that kind of area. And then beneath census tracts are something called block groups. And so block groups are the smallest level of data that we publish for the American Community Survey. For the decennial, we also go down to individual blocks. So individual blocks are literally like, 4 streets making a rectangle. That can be a block. Very, very small levels of geography. But for the American Community Survey, which again is sort of like a great source for all kinds of data, we go down to the block groups. And then you'll see areas that are off this main kind of like spine. You can kind of think of it as a main spine. These are areas that we also publish, but they don't necessarily nest neatly within one another. So for example, school districts over here on the left, those nest within states, but they might overlap with counties, or they might overlap with cities and things like that. So you will not necessarily see school districts neatly fitting within particular counties. They might extend beyond. Likewise, congressional districts nest within states. And then places. Now, places are generally things that we call cities and towns. When you think of a city or a town, we call those places. Places can be incorporated places, which are like actual functional legal entities, like a city with a mayor or a city council, or they can be something we call census-designated places, which are like neighborhoods. And we actually do a lot to try to take into account the local communities and really sort of understand, like, okay, this is technically part of this, city, but we're going to break it off because it's this particular neighborhood in this city. So places are a very nice way to look at the data as well. And I'm bringing up places because we do publish a lot of data at the place level, including some of our detailed race data. Those, though, don't necessarily nest neatly within a county, so they might cross county lines. And then the last thing I want to mention are the American Indian areas, Alaska Native areas, and Hawaiian homelands over on the top right there. Those, you'll notice, don't nest really in anything. They actually kind of nest in nation, but generally they may not. So these areas can actually cross state lines, right? Think of the Four Corners area in Arizona, New Mexico. Think of any number of American Indian, Alaska Native areas. They can cross state lines. But again, I wanted to emphasize that we do publish a lot of great data on these areas. So I mentioned this before about how we're always in the field. We're always gathering new data. And what we'll do is we'll put them all together, we'll aggregate it. And we create really 3, I kind of generally think of 2, but there are really 3 sort of sets of estimates. One set of estimates are the 1-year data. So these are gathered basically from January through December, a calendar year, more or less. So 2022 are data gathered anywhere from January to December. Now we do some adjusting to make sure that like our economic variables are all tied to the same point in time, because if there's inflation, a January number may look very different than a December number. If prices are going up by 10% a year, then your rent might be very different in December than it is in January. So we adjust for that so that everything is tied to the same point in time. But generally, it's those pooled numbers. And then over here on the right side, we do 5-year estimates as well. So we'll pool, for example, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, and 2022. 5 years worth of data. And because we pool that data, that means that we can get to much smaller geographic areas. You can see that's how we publish data down to the tract and down to the census block. We'll pool together 5 years worth of data. So it's a little bit of it's a little bit sad because it's not the most current, but it is the most accurate. that, by pooling together 5 years of data, we have enough data to make really sound decisions based on the data. Now, this is something I really am excited about, and I'm hoping that we can demonstrate this later during the interactive presentations. These are some tables that I don't know that many people know about. And I think that they deserve more spotlight. And they're actually going to be very, very useful if you want to sort of filter your populations. So what do I mean by that? So we have these tables. There are two kinds of tables. One's called the Selected Population Tables, SPT. And then the other one are called the American Indian and Alaska Native tables, or AIANT. What these are the same, many of the same American Community Survey tables: commuting, income, occupation, educational attainment, any number of those content that I showed earlier, but broken out for a particular group, disaggregated to a particular group. In our normal ACS tables, we do occasionally say, like, okay, now let's look at the white, alone population. Now let's look at the Black or African American alone population. But this allows you to break it down even smaller into particular ancestry groups. So you could, for example, look at the Afghan population. You could, for example, look at an American Indian tribe. So these are the tables that we used. We were actually up in Seattle, about an hour and a half north of Seattle, in a tribal area, and the elders of the tribe said, look, we like your data, but your data are a little bit not reflecting what we know. And so we pulled up the data and we looked at the tribal area, the reservation where they were, and we said, well, these are your numbers for the reservation, the tribal area. And they said, but this includes people who are not members of the tribe in my area. And so we said, oh, well, you can use these AIANT tables to look at your tribal area, but then also filter down to only the people who are members of your tribe or who identify as members of your tribe. So we could say the Swinomish people on the Swinomish tribal area. And then you can really see the difference. You can really see, look, there's a tremendous difference in median income, in occupation, in commuting, in home ownership. So really excited about these tables. I really like to talk about them every time I get in front of people because I really think that they're a really great resource. The most recent release is 2017 through 2021, but again, it has so much data and you can really break it down to individual populations. Okay, 2 more slides and I'm going to turn it over to Virginia and we're going to actually look at some data. So just 2 slides. Why do we collect this data? We're really trying to inform policy decisions. We're trying to monitor compliance with anti-discrimination laws, regulations, policies, and we know that legislators and others use these data to allocate resources to schools, to communities, to public health agencies, and things like that. So last, this is why the American Community Survey data exists. It's for people to help make better decisions as you are. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Virginia.
All right, thanks, Matt. That was wonderful. So my role here is I'm going to go over some of the data questions that you might be interested in on the ACS. And I'm from the foreign-born population branch, so I'm going to highlight that mostly because that's my thing. So if you're wondering, here's what these questions actually look like on the actual survey. So really for foreign-born status, we're working with 2 different questions. We're working with place of birth and citizenship status. And then with citizenship status, you get year of entry or year of naturalization, those types of things. So first, there's a question of where was this person born? And this has a write-in. So we get a lot of different write-ins, and then we have a lot of edits that kind of code those into different things. And then the second part of this question is citizenship. So in this case for foreign-born, we only consider people foreign-born if they are not US citizens or if they're US citizens by naturalization. So if you're a US citizen at birth, either through parents or being born in the US, you're considered native-born. Like only if you're naturalized or not a US citizen, you are foreign-born. So it does not really matter if you were born outside of the US. And then, yep, we have that year of entry question too, which is also really interesting. We have a lot of tables that kind of aggregate data by year of entry, so we can kind of see when people are coming to this country. So we have recently published quite a few exciting things in our branch. We recently published a brief which kind of details the profile of the foreign-born in the US. We did a comparative profile from 2012 to the most recent data release, which was 2022 data, I believe. And that was really interesting. So this is a piece of that, and this is what I'm really excited about and what you guys should be really excited about too. This is a really, really cool data visual that one of my colleagues created. So here we go, let's let it load. Can we see that well? Okay. Yeah, how do you, I don't know if I can zoom. Okay, here we go. There we go. That's looking better. Okay, so in this residential map tab here, you can hover over any state and it'll give you a total foreign-born estimate. So of course we're interested in Illinois and Missouri. So we just at a high level, state level, which in this data viz we can go down to county level, which I will walk you through. But just as a quick little aside, total foreign-born in Illinois, looks like we got 1.8 million. And in Missouri, only 258,000. Yeah, that'd be a lot. That's more than you have in the state, right? So if we want to look at the counties in Missouri or Illinois, we can come here to this little counties tab. And then we can pick a state. So we'll pick, what do you guys want to see, Missouri or Illinois? All right. Of course. Yeah, no, Alaska. So then let's take this out of here so it's a little bit easier to see. Okay. And this there we go, brings up Missouri very nicely. And then we can hover over any of these counties within here and it'll give us the foreign-born estimate. So for example, here in St. Louis County, you have 76,000 foreign-born. And if we want to look at St. Louis City too, you just hover right over it. And that one, I mean, of course, it's smaller, so there's only about 19,000 in St. Louis City. So with this data tool, there's also a lot of other things that you can do. We can look at a 10-year change by state, and by county. So here we can go to Missouri again. And we can do, here we go, St. Louis County right here at the top. So over the past 10 years, you've had an increase in foreign-born by about 10,000. So yeah, this is a really, really cool tool. You can see it by state total and by county. And then oh, sure. So yeah, this top bar is actually the whole state, I believe, or maybe, yes. Okay, so yeah, St. Louis County is your biggest county, has the most foreign-born out of all your counties. And then, yeah, this is all in chronological order of size of the foreign-born population. So pretty cool here. We have Jackson County. I must admit, I am not up on Missouri geography, so I'm not sure exactly where that is, but... A city, okay. So in Greene County here, we have total foreign-born is 1,770 people. And those are, this one also we have this 10-year change. So using that 5-year pool of data that Matt was talking about, from 2008 to 2012, there were only 8,300 foreign-born. And then in the most recent data years, 2018 to 2022, though it went up to about 10,000. So yeah, this isn't actual estimates. These numbers here on the sides are the net change. So you've gained 1,700 people. Yes.
This is the counties. What about the cities? Is there a way to see St. Louis City or?
So
Kansas
not
City?
on this data tool, but Rex will later walk you through the data.census tool, and that you can go all the way down to place. Oh, St. Louis, yes, but we don't have like the actual city level on this. Like St. Louis City is a county, and we can look that up. So for those of you interested in St. Louis City, this is right here at the bottom. And this actually, over that 10-year period, you guys lost about 2,800 foreign-born folks. So that population is decreasing in St. Louis City. So this tool also, I'll just go over quick these other tabs. They're a little bit less specific to county and state, so a little bit more general. But you can see a lot of cool things based on place of birth, based on your foreign-born place of birth. So this is the American Community Survey, as a reminder. So we don't have the citizenship question on the decennial census. But part of that foreign-born question is about citizenship, and it has those 4 different options. Yes, born in the U.S., yes, U.S. citizen by birth because of U.S. citizen parent or parents, and then the not a U.S. citizen and U.S. citizen by naturalization. So this whole visualization is only covering those last 2 categories. So they could be citizens by naturalization, or they could not be citizens at all. So this data viz doesn't really parse that out, unfortunately, but the tables online will give you all of those options, so you could really get into the nitty-gritty of that if you wanted. Okay, so yeah, this national profile is really cool. You can't do it exactly for a specific state or for a specific county, unfortunately, but good news is all of that is available in tables and data online that Rex will show you. So just real quick, we'll pick Costa Rica, and you can see a lot of different variables for this group of people. So you can see citizenship status right here. Actually, we do have this 1 point, but we can't go down to the city or county level or even state here. So you can see that out of the people who were born in Costa Rica who are either not U.S. citizens or naturalized, you can see 43.8% are not citizens, while we have 56.2% who are naturalized citizens. So yeah, lots of cool things here. Employment status, educational attainment, occupational group. And yeah, the places of birth that you can access here, there's a lot. And there's even more online that Rex will show us. There's so much. Sure. Let's see. So place of birth. Yeah, and I do want to point out that this isn't ancestry. Ancestry and foreign-born or place of birth are completely different. So you could be born in the U.S. and have Afghan ancestry. You could also be born in Afghanistan and not consider yourself to have Afghan ancestry. So this is only about where these people were born. So yes, here we go, Afghanistan. If you're born there, you have 60% of you are not U.S. citizens, 40% are naturalized. And then employment status, over 54% are employed, and then a couple other cool statistics that I won't spend too much time on because we'll be here all day. Unfortunately, with this data tool for these particular variables, we only have the national profile. But we do have, like I mentioned earlier, we have this residential map that you can go down.
When I look at the form and I see that it says foreign-born, including Guam, Puerto Rico, and the other territories, I think that is very confusing, in my opinion. I would like to see it separated from foreign-born, and even if it's indicated as a U.S. territory, Puerto Rico, Guam, American Samoa, I think that will be easier and more encouraging for people like me to say, yeah, I was born and raised in the island, and I came here to the mainland after some time. So I just, suggestion, I was confused about that one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's actually a Puerto Rican ACS that has slightly different questions. So yeah, the questions on the one that you would receive in Puerto Rico is structured a little bit differently. But there are, that has been brought up previously as well. And here, Sal, this is what you were asking for. So unfortunately, in this data viz specifically, Rex will do this for you later, so don't worry too much. We can only look at the total foreign-born or foreign-born from specific places. We can't really parse it out any more than that on this data viz or look at any other variables. But for you, Sal, here we go. So St. Louis County, Missouri, there's 76,647 foreign-born. And in St. Louis City, which is much smaller, 18,879. Is that what you were hoping to see?
Absolutely, and I think.
Maybe you should, we'll maybe have one in the audience out there.
I'm hoping that we get to the core of the question.
Mm-hmm.
The question that we posed today is how disaggregated demographic data and research and the social determinants of health intersect.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we cross-reference? Because it appears to me that the decennial census and the American Community Survey have different elements. So where do we get to the core of?
Don't you worry, we're not there yet. It's coming.
Okay.
Yeah, not necessarily in this viz, but we're going to also talk about the decennial and when to use which survey and what their strengths are, and look at some of the data.
So you can cross-reference those data points. Okay.
No, so Sal, what the idea that we're doing here, as you know, is that we're highlighting, data products from these two data sources, right? The decennial census and American Community Survey. And this is one of the reasons why we're doing it this way, so you can clearly understand the two different sources of data and what's available for each different data source. Now, what I understand that you're looking at the intersection, if you will, of these variables and the determinants of health, right? So we're providing the data. This is the data that's available on the ACS, right? And as Virginia demonstrated, she's hovering over, St. Louis County, for example, and showing you the percent that's foreign-born. Matt shortly is going to show you the ethnic and racial distributions of St. Louis County, for example, and actually disaggregated data. So we're going to actually show you the counts of, for example, people who reported that were Afghani, for example, right, or Jamaican, or Irish, or whatever. And so he's going to walk you through that and show you those population counts and estimates. Rex later will then demonstrate how you can download. Now, these are all the specific data that Matt was talking about earlier about poverty, income, crossed by these groups, right? What's the percentage of Polish people that are in poverty, Jamaican, et cetera, right? As you can see, it's a lot of data, and unfortunately, we're not going to be able to show you everything here, but we wanted to give you a flavor of that.
Fantastic.
Okay?
Thank you very much.
Absolutely, and it's coming. It's coming.
Okay.
Yeah, we're doing visualizations first, just that are going to be state and county specific, but kind of give you a flavor of the data, and then all of the data are available on our platform called data.census.gov, data.census.gov. Rex is going to demonstrate how to go to that and look at the tables. The tables are a little bit more like it's a sheet of numbers, so we wanted to show the visualizations first to just show you sort of what is available without just looking at pages and pages of numbers.
And what you can do with the data, because I wouldn't know how to do it, but you can create these visuals with the data. That's what we did. That's what our whole branch did, and what the whole census has done in many cases. So yes, very useful.
Yeah, and we still have an hour and a half to go. We're going to take a break here in a minute. As soon as Virginia is done with her data visual,
Yeah.
take
Do you
about
want
a
me to
5
go
minute.
over those last two slides?
Yeah, go ahead
then-
and do those
Okay,
slides, and then
great.
we'll take a quick break, and then Matt's going to come up, I believe, and then we'll keep discussing data for the next hour and a half. So we're really excited to do that.
Great. Yeah, I'd love to go over this way more, but I have a couple other slides to show you just for some examples of the data that you can get with the ACS. So we have the language question, and this is not my branch, but this is a good piece of data that we have on the ACS. So we have the question that just says, do you speak English at home or another language other than English? And then you get a write-in, and then you get a proficiency level there. And here is an example of a table that uses that variable. And this is for Illinois specifically. Sorry, all you Missouri people. You're close enough. I thought it would be good. So here we can see in Illinois, speak only English, there's about 76% of people only speak English. And then about 24% speak a language other than English. And then these tables, which this is the exact type of table that Rex is going to walk you through later, but we can also see what other languages they're speaking. And then lastly, as I mentioned before, ancestry and foreign-born status are separate. So this is the ancestry question as it appears on the ACS. And it specifically just asks for a write-in of your ancestry or ethnic origin. And then this is compiled into a table such as the following. And this, again, is for Illinois. I know it's pretty small up there, but there are so many reported ancestry categories that I could not capture it all on here. So this is the top ones in alphabetical order, you know, and it looks like the largest group here, just eyeballing it. I mean, I guess we have the arrow thing, which is all expanded, so we can't really see. But Rex will show you all of this. But yeah, we get to see how it's asked, which is just a straight write-in question, and then we have all of the data for it in a table. And I think that is it before our little break.
Just a quick, I guess, as
Oh, sure,
people are
yeah,
coming in.
absolutely.
I have a question about method. I was just speaking with you on the panel about method for sampling ACS.
Okay.
How do you, first of all, a couple questions. One, how representative is it really? I mean, I know it's an estimate, but how do you know that it's representative of a broader population? But then two, how do you select, you know, those people who are sampled in the ACS?
Okay,
Thanks.
great question.
That's a
Thank
really
you for your
good
question.
So the ACS and the decennial are actually both housing unit-based surveys or decennial censuses. So what we do is we don't actually keep a list of people. Like, you know, we don't have a register of people, you know, or anything like that. But what we do have is something called the master address file, the MAF, M-A-F. And that comes from the Postal Service, that comes from our years of research, that comes from actually having people, boots on the ground, walking streets of new developments and, you know, writing down addresses. That also includes like using satellite imagery to identify newly growing areas and new housing units and things like that. And finally, it includes something called local update, where we reach out to like New York City Department of Planning and say, hey, do you guys know about any like ADUs, accessory dwelling units, or hidden housing, or, you know, basement apartments that we may not know about, and, you know, things like that. So we do a lot of that, and we get a big list of all of the potential housing units, and we continue, you know, again, it's updated continuously throughout every year, every day. And then the sample is drawn from there. So, and then of course, what we do is, you know, we do a sample in a way, I'm not a sample guy, but I can tell you that
It's like a random process.
There's like a random
It's
draw,
like
but
every
it's
other
stratified by
fourth,
geography.
Right, it's like every fifth house, eighth
Yeah,
house.
and then we also then we do something called weighting, in case that, you know, like we get a lot of, you know, say one particular kind of response, not a lot of another particular kind of. So we know we're missing, based on like our estimates and based on our research, we know that we're like a little light on, you know, Asian responses. So we might up, like those Asian responses might go up in weight, and then we might down weight like white responses, say, for example, because we have too many white responses. So that weighting, that survey weighting, is tied to our population estimates, which we do at the county and city and town level every year. And so, yeah, so it ends up that like the decennial census provides the base. We use these estimates to update based on like birth certificates and death certificates and migration patterns and, you know, postal service and everything. And those, you know, those numbers we we sample from the housing unit frame and we match it. We do the weighting so that we get a representative sample.
So we can, so We can meet with you afterwards if you don't mind, and we can talk to you a little bit more specifically. But thank you for your question. I really appreciate it. But we can talk a little bit more. In the interest of time, we were going to go ahead and keep moving. We actually have, so we've actually have talked and consulted, and we're going to make a couple of adjustments to our PowerPoint, which is fine because this is what a workshop's all about, right? We want to hear from you. So, and you don't really want to sit here and listen to me talk for another 20 minutes, right? So, but however, I do want to just highlight a few slides real quickly, I promise, real quickly. Look, you can see my talking points are on top of the desk over there. I didn't even bring them with me over here, right? So I'm not even going to read. So, but what I want to do is let's shift from the American Community Survey, and let's shift over to the decennial census every 10 years, right? Our last census was 4 years ago. So allow me to talk to you about a data product that was released this past September, which is called the DHCA, which is the Demographic Housing Characteristic File A. And at the Census Bureau, we're really into acronyms, so please bear with us here. So this is a very specialized data product from the census that contains over 1,500 specific racial and ethnic groups and specific American Indian and Alaska Native tribes and villages. We provide it for the total population of these particular groups, and we also show, we have a couple of tables in this data product by sex and age characteristics. We have, as you can see here on this slide, we have these specific population counts that Matt's actually going to walk you through shortly. We have data at the national level, state level, county, census tracts that Matt talked about earlier, places, which are cities, remember, and also for American Indian, Alaska Native, and Hawaiian homeland areas as well. So we'll highlight that shortly real quickly, okay? So let me go ahead so on this table here, you can see, typically, we think of the major race and ethnic categories you can see here, white, black, but in the middle column, you can see those are the total number of detailed groups we have. So for example, for the white category, we have over 104 specific ethnicities, like Irish, German, etc. For the black population, one thing we heard over the decades, for example, that, hey, you only care if I'm just black or African American. I'm from Jamaica. I'm going to be Jamaican. I want to identify Jamaican, for example. Same thing with all these other major categories. Well, and so you can see which group has the largest number of detailed groups in it. American Indian, right? Over 1,000 groups, by the way. So we have been, as I mentioned before, we've been conducting a census in 1790, and we have a lot of data, and we've been collecting this information since. Okay, so real quickly, what I want to do to provide a little context, how race ethnicity data is collected. Back in the 2020 census 4 years ago, we used two separate questions. One for the Hispanic question. So if someone, you come to this question, and if you're Latino, for example, like myself, you check, yes, I'm Mexican American. No, I'm not. Check no. And if you don't see yourself in any of the check boxes here, then you can actually write in a specific Hispanic, detailed specific group. For example, like if you're Dominican, Colombian. Unfortunately, we don't have enough space on the form to have check boxes for every category, right? So what we do is that we list the largest groups. So the check boxes here that you see on this form represent about 85% of all Hispanics in the United States. They're either Mexican, Puerto Rican, or Cuban. Those are the largest ones. The smaller ones will have to, write in their specific Hispanic origin group. And then real quickly, here's the race question. I'm not going to go through all of these right here, but what I want to highlight for the 2020 census, one of the new improvements that we did in the collection of race ethnicity data is that we added a write-in line for the white category and the black category. So that was part of the research that we did over the past decade. We've heard a lot from external and internal stakeholders that they really wanted to identify more than beyond just the major race categories. People really do identify with their nationality, with their ethnicity. And so in the 2020 census, one of the data collection improvements we did was, see the write-in lines that you see here? Back in the 2010 census, we only collected up to 2 write-ins per write-in line. We ended up collecting up to 6 in 2020. And then we also expanded a number of characters from 30 characters to 200 characters in 2020. So that allowed us to collect much more. In fact, in 2020, we had over 350 million write-ins that were captured. And this is part of the Census Bureau's dedication for disaggregated data, right? Showing those specific counts. And so without further ado, Matt Spence now is going to come back, and we're going to talk about the specific disaggregated data through our data visual that we have here, okay? So he's going to come right up, and let's walk you through some data. Okay.
Hello, everyone. So, as Roberto mentioned, we're going to be showing you some detailed data. But again, we're just doing the visualizations for now. I'm going to go quickly through them. I initially was going to kind of draw it out and really do a lot. But now I'm going to do it quickly because I think that there's a lot of interest in some of the actual tables and seeing the actual data. So again, we have to know our audience. So I've got a couple different slides here. Again, I think that these slides are going to be available for people, but a couple of nice tools. So one tool is the race and ethnicity in the United States, 2010 census and 2020 census. This is a really fun visualization. Again, it only goes to state and county, but it shows how things have changed for the US in the last 10 years between the two censuses. So, for example, we can say, let's look at the, Black or African American alone or in combination. So these are people who either selected Black or African American, or they may have selected Black or African American and another race, like they could be white, they could be some other race, etc. So you can click and you can see the differences, and you can even, much like the visualizations that Virginia was showing, you can hover over and see sort of state level totals, see how things look currently in 2020. You can also look at the counties. So let's go into Missouri. We can click on that, and now we can see, here in St. Louis County, the Black or African American population alone or in combination was 26% in 2020. In St. Louis City, it was 45%, just about even with the largest group, which is white alone or in combination. So, fun tool that you can use. I just encourage everyone to take a minute to, really dive into it. There's so much data. You can even dive into, specific facts for a state or county to kind of compare it to the, national numbers. I see there's a question, so I'll stop.
Thank you very much. That's very interesting. I was wondering if you can disaggregate the Black data even further, because we have a significant African population in St. Louis.
Mm-hmm.
So you're probably headed that way.
Yeah, no, that's great.
And I take this opportunity to encourage other people other than just me to come up and use the mic. And we ask them to use the mic because it interferes with our recording if it won't pick your question up, okay? So thank you very much.
If you shout at me, I'll repeat the question, but it's into the mic, but it's better. If
yeah, great. Thank you for your question, Sal. We'll
great question. And so, so I'm not gonna, I originally had planned to really dwell on this and spend a lot of time here, but I encourage you to take a look. Again, we have Hispanic origin sort of as a separate tab in this visualization because, as Roberto mentioned, we currently have it as a separate question. Although that is changing. So to your question about so when we talk about major race groups, that's what we're talking about: white, Black or African American, Asian, American Indian and Alaska Native, Native Hawaiian and other Pacific Islander. These are what we sometimes call major race groups. But when we talk about detailed race and detailed ethnicity, that's when we're getting into, well, how many people are, Afghan? How many people are Jamaican? How many people are Nigerian? And that's the so-called detailed race and ethnicity data. So again, we've got a nice visualization here. You can see for a particular group, let's say like the Black or African American alone or in any combination, what are the largest detailed groups? What are the second largest detailed groups? You can go by state. You can go into counties as well. So here's counties. Let's go down to Missouri. Now, if we show the largest detail group for the Black or African American alone or in combination, generally the largest is African American. Just the sort of response that's a little bit sort of generic. But if you go to the second largest detailed group, you can see that here in St. Louis County, there's a large population that is Nigerian alone or in combination. So that's kind of a fun thing to do. Again, the maps are fun for visualization, but the ranking tables can also be really nice. You can click on the ranking button, and you can say, okay, in Missouri, let's scroll down, St. Louis County. Now you can see, okay, look at this. You could say Nigerian is 1,904, Ethiopian is 1,096, Kenyan is 1,035, Jamaican, Haitian, Congolese, etc. So you can really see, even down to 23 or 24 people, just the variety of people who are living here, the rich tapestry of people who are living here in this particular county. Now, again, the data visualization is just counties, but the data itself are available down to the place. So place, like I said, are cities, towns, or neighborhoods. It's also available down to the tract. So that's really exciting. So you could do, again, it's not in the visualization, but it will be in the data table, the data.census.gov. You can really get counts of individuals down to the tract and really see, where does the Nigerian population live? Where does the Ethiopian population live? What neighborhoods in this county or in this city? So I think that's a really exciting thing, and that could help you target it. Again, these are visualizations that are based on the decennial. So remember, I was talking about the ACS and the decennial. The decennial is really just pop counts. It gives you the most detail, as we were seeing, but they're really just population counts. Maybe a little bit of sex by age detail as well, but basic demographics. Oh, sure. Yeah, so one question was Asian. It will stick in the same county. And so here we can see, here's Afghan, 850 people who are Afghan, alone or in any combination in St. Louis County. And you could even then say, what about St. Louis City? And here it is, 590. So that's kind of fun. These ranking tables are really nice to get a lot of variety of data. Again, you can see, even down to 25 people you get counts for. Again, these are available down to the tract and place, city, town, neighborhood, on data.census.gov. Okay, so one thing I wanted to sort of just preview, just so everyone's very excited. This is for Sal. We were talking about, remember I was talking about the special population tables, SPT or AIANT, the American Indian Alaska Native tables? This is an example of one of those tables I picked Madison County, Illinois. I picked St. Clair County, Illinois, St. Louis County, Missouri, and St. Louis City, Missouri. And here I said, I'm interested in getting all of these data. So here's commuting patterns, here's occupation, here's what industry do people work in. And maybe this is small. Well, I guess it's pretty big. And here you can see I've limited it to only the Black or African American alone or in combination population. So this is, you can use these SPT tables to dive into particular populations, filtered subpopulations within counties or within tracts. And so that's a very nice feature. So you can really see okay, what do people do? And these tables, these data profile tables, also give percents as well. So you can see, okay, so in Madison County, 76% of workers who are Black or African American alone or in combination drove alone. But if we go over to St. Louis City, that number is only 67%. So you can kind of say, okay, well, there's a little bit more transit use maybe among this population in St. Louis City, which makes sense, right? So just that's a preview, and we're going to show you how to exactly get to the filter exactly this way. But the plug I'll put in is email us. We really do like hearing from data users if you're having trouble accessing the data. So, okay, with that, I believe you're gonna close this out. No, you're good.
Not close this out literally. We have a couple more slides. Here are other, it's okay. So here I just want to highlight that we have a number of blogs, reports. I'm going to skip this real quickly, but we have a great wealth of data, information available on our website, and it's all for free. These are all different types of reports highlighting the Hispanic population, different racial and ethnic groups, as you can see here. All right, let's move forward. Okay, so I am really going to just skip these slides because I just really want to focus on what's coming up next. So there was a gentleman that asked earlier about about content change, right? It's like how do questions change in the American Community Survey? Well, there is one change I could talk to you about real quickly is that, remember earlier I was talking to you how in the 2020 census we used 2 separate questions, race and ethnicity. So just recently, back in March, the Office of Management and Budget, believe it or not, contrary to popular belief, the Census Bureau does not actually set the standards for race ethnicity collection for the federal government. The Office of Management and Budget does. They set guidelines. They were first issued in 1977. They were revised in 1997, and now they were just recently been updated, if you will, in March. So we call those the 2024 standards. And one of the major proposals that's coming out is that this is the way, or should I say proposals, this is actually the new way that we're going to be collecting race ethnicity in the next census, is this combined question here to the left. So Sal and others have been asking about disaggregated data. Well, you cannot get any more disaggregated than this. We have major check boxes for all the racial and ethnic groups that you can see here. It's listed as alphabetical order, but we typically list it in population size order. But you can see here check boxes for all the major detail groups, Asian, Black, and then as you can see, there's a checkbox for Jamaican, Ethiopian, etc. We have a new Middle Eastern, North African category as well. So Lebanese, Syrian, Iraqi, etc. And then you can see, and we even have checkboxes for the white population as well. So you can check any of those. And by the way, what's great about the testing that we did for this combined question is that at the very top, you can select all that apply. So if you identify with more than one racial group or one or more ethnicities, you can do that now, and we'll collect it. So we're very happy to do that. In fact, this is one of the very first conferences, or summits, should I say, that we're announcing this. It just happened about a month ago. So, yay. So great timing, Sal, great timing. Okay, so let's talk about more data, right? Come on, I think it's what you're really here for. By the way, this slide deck will be available. I'm going to send it to the organizers of the summit. So no worries, we're going to send it out to you, and here's all our contact information if you want to know more about the ACS, about the decennial census, who to email, who to call. It's all right here, and I promise to send it to you so you can have that information, okay? So now the great Rex is going to be, do we have a question? Yes, Sal.
Yes, we have a question from one of our online attendees. St. Louis City identifies a lot by neighborhood. Is there a recommended way to explore the data by specific neighborhoods?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the best way we would say are to look at places, the place level. Places like census designated places are, so I should have looked at this, but I don't have any off the top of my head, but those are frequently sort of neighborhood delineations. You can go on our, I wish I could show you, but we could go on our TigerWeb map and see maps of where the neighborhoods are and what we consider part of the neighborhood. Another way to do it would be to look at census tract level data. Tracts you can frequently kind of bring together and create sort of like, okay, so this tract is, 5 city blocks, and this tract is, a larger area, and you can bring those together to create your own neighborhoods. Those are the two sort of sub-city and sub-county levels that I always sort of look to.
Yeah, and if you don't mind, Sal, if we can get the email from the data user, we can happy to email them back and give more specifics.
We have two options. One, they can submit their questions, and we invite people online to submit their questions if it's really pressing. But also at the end of this presentation, Roberto and the census is going to share their contact information, so they will be able to email the census directly, and they will answer your questions. And of course, you can reach anybody that you've got, myself included. But these questions are very important, and we respect the participation of our online attendees.
Absolutely.
And everybody here. So thank you.
So thank you, Sal. Okay, so without further ado, because I do want to make sure we get these tables in. So Rex is going to come up here now and walk you through more additional tables. So here we go. Okay.
All right, thank you, Roberto, and thank you, everyone, for really detailed introduction on census products and program and surveys. And good morning, everyone. My name is Rex Kong. I'm a program analyst at Dissemination Outreach Branch. And then our branch provides how to use data.census.gov, Census API, and microdata access. And how to use data.census.gov will be the main focus of this presentation. All right, so let's get started. All right, so first of all, I will give you all a really quick introduction on what is data.census.gov. So data.census.gov is the main data dissemination tool to access census data, including a lot of popular program and surveys like Decennial Census, American Community Survey, and Economic Survey. And as you can see, data.census.gov is powered by the API. And from this slide, API is the heart of the data.census.gov. And data.census.gov is a good example of API in action. And everything you see on a website, data tables, data maps, charts, etc., they'll all pull from the API in real time and fed on your screen in a user-friendly way. All right, so what data are available on data.census.gov? These metrics provide all the program and surveys that are available, and also like which vintages are available on data.census.gov, and yes, such as Decennial Census from 2000 to the latest one, 2020, and also ACS data from 2010 to the latest one, which is 2022, and 2023 ACS is going to release this year pretty soon, and of course also economic census and selective surveys from 2012 to the latest one. But this table is not everything. So if you're interested, feel free to go to the website, go to that link, and then you can see all the available program and surveys on data.census.gov. Okay, so let's go a little bit introduction on data.census.gov. So there are actually two ways to search your data on data.census.gov. The first one is the simple one, which is single search bar. So when you're on data.census.gov, there's a single search bar over there. You can simply just type in any kind of topics, geography, year, table IDs, and codes, the industry codes. So for example, you can just simply type in education attainment in St. Louis, Missouri, something like that, or you can switch to like poverty 2012, something like that, and just like Google, you can just type in anything and hit enter. And it would just show all the available tables after you hit enter. And another way to perform your search is advanced search. So from there, from here, the single search bar, there's an advanced search button over here. When you click on that, it would just bring you to our advanced search filters. And from there, it's a more guided approach. You can select your topics first, your geography first. And after you click on, like for example, this topics, you can click on health. And after you click on that, you can check the variable you're interested in. And of course, I will show you all later after this. Okay, so yeah, let's get started. I'm going to show you some, like 3 examples. The first one would be single search, how to perform single search on data.census.gov. And we have the first one, single search. So we have a products called geography profiles. So if you're not sure like what kind of topics you're looking for in your geography, you can use our geography profile. Like for example, geography profile for St. Louis, Missouri. So how do I do that? All right, so I'm just gonna go back to our website here and go to data.census.gov. So you can just simply type in data.census.gov and hit enter. It's all public, all free. You can just simply Google it and it would show you, it would bring you to data.census.gov over here. So I'm looking for St. Louis. So, all right, so once I type in a single search bar over here, I see there's some suggestion over here, Missouri. But as you can see, pick up St. Louis County, not city. So I'm going to add city over here in my single search bar. And now I can see there's a suggestion over here and also a St. Louis City, Missouri box over here. I'm just gonna click on that and that will bring you to our geography profile. And this one is like one of my favorite products because you can see all the popular statistic for your geography. So like for this one, St. Louis City, Missouri, when you scroll down, you can see the population, income, employment, etc., all the popular statistic from here. And you can also tell like where is this number come from? Like for example, this population is from our 2020 decennial census, and there's a table ID over here as well. When you click on that, is it too small? Yeah, let me zoom in a little bit. All right, so yeah, when you click on the table ID over here, it would just bring you to the full table, like where is that number come from? I'm just gonna show you real quick. Yep, once you click on the table ID, it would just bring you to the full table and you can read more detailed information from there. And same with all the other topics as well. And if you scroll down more, you can read more detailed information from there, like population and people. You can see some population pyramids from here, some data visualizations. And if you only, for example, if you're only interested in health topic, you can also just click on the tab on the top of the geography profile. You just click on the health and it will just bring you straight to that health section. And you can read more information from there. All right, so give it a few seconds and it will just pop up eventually. All right, there you go, and you can see the disability. When you read more, some charts over here, fertility, and you can also tell. You can always tell like where is this data come from. You can click on the data, the table ID over here, like this one. This number is from table S1810 from the latest ACS 2022 one-year data, and we click on that. And it would just bring you to the full table.
I have a question for the audience. Are you finding this interesting? Yeah, right? Okay.
Thank you.
So I see there's a question in the back there. If you don't mind coming to the mic. So let us know if we're going a little quickly. Just because we're cognizant of time, but let us know if you really just want to focus on these tables or, look at the statistics or,
feel free to
so
me
we're
anytime.
here for you. So yes, your question.
How specific does that data get? Can you go down to a household, like a map, and see exactly what that house does?
Oh, wait, you mean like household?
A particular household? No.
Yep.
Not a single unit household?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Okay,
Yeah, you
there's
can't
no
go to.
identifiable data for
No,
a
there is
single
not. No,
on
there's
the
not.
census.
Actually, Matt could talk a little bit, just a few minutes, about our disclosure avoidance methodologies that we use in the decennial census and ACS. But basically, we, by law, have to protect your confidentiality and your privacy. We cannot reveal you specifically. So,
Just basically exactly what Roberto said. We cannot, there's something called Title 13, which means that we can be sent to jail or fined hundreds of thousands of dollars if we even unknowingly, intentionally divulge a person's data. And that could include just publishing too much data, right? So that's why you'll sometimes see frustrations of like, oh, the data are not available on the website, or you can't get the particular small slice of the population you want, and that's to protect confidentiality. We know that we rely on the American public to give us their data so that we can give it back to you. We're listening to your stories, so we can tell them back to you, and we can use those data to make decisions and things, but we know that relies on the confidence and trust of people. So that's why you can never get an individual or a housing unit, or even small housing units. So we'll add a little bit of noise to make sure that you can never recover an individual person or housing unit's response.
All right, thank you for the questions. That's a great one. All right, so.
If you don't mind going back to where you were.
Oh, okay.
I think they're really interested in
there you go.
those tables,
All right.
if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Maybe you can highlight a different topic.
Sure.
The mapping, I think we heard someone.
Yeah,
I think we heard someone that wanted to talk about mapping. Maybe you want to show. Okay.
Yeah, that would be our second example. All right, so I'm just gonna also show you real quick how to perform your single search on how to find decennial census for your data. I mean, basically you can just type in and go back. Oh, a quick tip is you can always click on the census logo over here, and it will just bring you back to the landing page of data.census.gov, and you can restart your search from there. And so, for example, if you're looking for 2020 data, you can just type in 2020 decennial and in Missouri, and just click enter, and it will just show you some quick table from decennial census products, and and also the profile as well. All right, so next example, I'm going to show you all how to compare your geographies. Like, let's say, for example, I'm looking for Jamaican alone in any combination population for all counties in Missouri. How do I do that? And how do I populate those data on your map? Okay, and the same, go back to data.census.gov. All right, click the logo and go back to the landing page of data.census.gov. And this time, I'm not going to type in any keywords in a single search bar. I'm just gonna go ahead and click on advanced search over here, because I know like what kind of geographies I'm looking for, what kind of topics I'm looking for. I'm just gonna go straight to advanced search. All right, so I always love to start with the geography, because that would be more easy, because sometimes some data are not available for some smaller geography, something like that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start with selecting my geography, and I'm looking for all counties in Missouri. So I'm just gonna, under this geography, click on county, scroll down to, let me zoom. Okay, and scroll down to Missouri. All right, and I can see all the counties in Missouri over here, but I don't want to select all of them. It's gonna be a lot. I'm not gonna check all the boxes one by one. We have all counties within Missouri over here to make your job a little bit easier, so you can just easily just check the box next to that, and it would just automatically select all counties within that geography. So after I check the box next to it, I'm going to select my my survey. So like they just mentioned earlier, one of the popular decennial census products, Detail DHCA. That one, if you're looking for like some race, we can use that that survey. So under surveys, this section, I'm going to click on decennial census. And there's a lot of different products over there. Some of them are actually from 2010. So I'm actually going to scroll down a little bit and select my years first. So that can narrow down to available decennial census products from 2020. And now I can see there are 4 available surveys over here. And I see there's a detailed demographic and housing characteristic, file A. I'm just gonna go ahead and check the box next to it. All right, so the next step, I'm going to select my race and ethnicity. So under topics, I see there, yeah, it's already narrowed down to only there's 2 variables over here. Click on race and ethnicity, Black or African American, and I'm looking for Jamaican alone or in any combination. So I'm gonna click on detail Black or African American alone in any combination, Caribbean alone in any combination, and scroll down to see if my variable is over there, and I see there's a Jamaican alone or in any combination. I'm just gonna go ahead and check the box next to it. All right, so after I select all of my variables, I'm just gonna verify it's already here, it's already applied to my filters, and I'm going click on the search box on your bottom right over here to apply my filters. Once I click on that, and it will show all the available tables over here, and also maps. And I can see there are 4 tables over here. I'm just gonna go ahead and click on the first one, table T01001, total populations. And I can, like this table is like really tiny. I can also just click on this chevron over here, this arrow over here to hide it. And now I can read my table more. So from here you can see.
So as you can see here, this is all the Jamaican counts alone in combination by county for the state of Missouri.
Mm-hmm. And only, like, you can see all the number, like more than 22 people which showed up. And so some counties might miss it because they don't have more than 22 people, I mean, Jamaican alone in any combination. So from here.
So can you show them, so that's kind of a hard table to see, right? Can you transpose that table
for sure.
for us?
Yeah, that's
Thank
one
you.
of, you can actually simply click on the transpose icon on the top of the table. Once you click on that, you can just read it from this way, so it's a little bit easy. Okay, and now I want to compare all of them in my map. How do I do that? So we can, you can also just click on the Maps tab on the top of the table over here, or you can just go to a map icon over here, click on the More Tools, and click on Map, and it will just automatically bring you to our map. However, there's a issue right now. We are trying to fix it. Usually when you just switch to map, the geography would just automatically show up and zoom into your geographies. But right now, it's not working right now. It's actually just default to state. So you have to click on the layer icon on the top of the map over here to switch to which, you know, whatever geography you just selected. So right now it's defaulted to state, but I'm looking for all counties in Missouri. So I'm gonna switch to county by clicking on that. And now it would just zoom into all counties in Missouri for the table for the data we just selected. And now you can see total population number by county. And when you zoom in, you can see, just click on that, you can see the number and the darkest shade of blue. That means the highest number of people that are Jamaican alone or in any combination. And if you want to compare all of them, you can actually click on the More Tools over here, and there's a table icon over here. When you click on that, you can compare all of them easily from this geography comparison table over here. And of course, you can just go back to the full table we just have by clicking on View Full Table, and you can see everything over here. Yes?
Thank you so much. This is very beautiful. I remember back in
Thank you.
2004 trying to do this for CVAP. Is there a way to kind of disaggregate out even more to how many are Jamaican alone and then Jamaican in combination and then other combinations that Jamaican appears with?
That's a good question. So for this data set, yeah, we can. Yeah.
Right.
And in combination.
How do
Right.
you-
So but you're talking about how many people said Jamaican and French? Is that what you're saying?
Right, and then like so
Okay.
how many people, like so if there's
No, we
like-
don't have those specific combinations. So it's you're Jamaican, you only said that, great. If you said another race or ethnicity, then you're Jamaican alone or combination. But as Rex showed you, we have all the specific nationalities and ethnicities available, pretty much. He's just showing you an example of Jamaican, right? But we also have it for German, Irish, Mexican, Venezuelan, all the specific ethnicities and nationalities as
So
well.
there's no way to isolate folks who only say that they're Jamaican, and I'm asking because
Yeah, you can isolate people who just only said
Okay.
Jamaican alone.
Okay, so
Yeah.
can you show how we do that?
I'm sorry?
Can you show that? How?
Oh, yeah. Can you just show her Jamaican alone?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Sure.
Yeah. And yeah, that's a good example too. Like I can show you how to if you're already on this table, you can easily just switch your variable by clicking on the filters pad, this button on your left-hand side. And now I'm just gonna delete this one, Jamaican alone, or any combination, that one. You can just click on this to delete them. And when you scroll down to topics, again, the same process, race and ethnicity, Black or African American. And now I don't want any combination, and detail Black or African American alone, click on that, Caribbean alone. And now you can find a Jamaican alone over there and check the box next to it. And once you add that variable over there, you can just close it and hide it. The table would just automatically update to the race and ethnicity you're looking for. And also, I got a special request from Saul. He's looking for like Latino population as well. We can also do that real quick by clicking on the filters panel, the button over here, delete Jamaican alone. And now Hispanic or Latino, click on that. Detail Hispanic or Latino. Do you have any specific you're looking for? Or just, okay, sure. And just click on Mexican and check the Mexican. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. And once you check the Mexican over here, just close the panel over here, and as you can see, the table just automatically update to Mexican. All right. Oh yeah, let's see. Yeah, the same, click on the filters over there, delete you can actually put that there as well. And click on Hispanic or Latino, detail Hispanic or Latino. South, yeah, sorry. So over there, and check the box next to Venezuela. And I believe the table, which is automatically update as well. Oh, it's still showing Mexico. I'm just gonna delete this one. Oops. I believe we can. It's probably only one race at a time.
Yeah, you can do both.
There it is.
Oh, yeah, there you go. So you can compare both of them as well.
And again, if a county doesn't have at least 22 Venezuelans, it will show up.
Right.
It won't show up. So, so Davies County, I think it was, had a Mexican count, but it didn't have a Venezuelan count because it was likely like 20 or fewer. Yeah. So Davies County or Dallas County, you can see has a Mexican count of 100 or so, but then no Venezuelan county because it's below that threshold.
And the same, you can also just click on maps and go there, but you have to, switch to county again. And from here, you can see a number. Like this one, you can tell this is the number of Venezuelan. So if you're looking for Mexican, you can just click on the box and you can switch to Mexican.
They're not too far away.
From that way. Yeah. What's that?
They're not too far away.
Oh.
It's a joke. It's a joke. It's a humor. I do have a couple of questions. I'll ask the first one. In regards to data suppression to protect the confidentiality of population subgroups and individuals, what resources, studies, et cetera, do the US Census Bureau base their decisions on?
It's a really good question. So for the decennial census in 2020, the way that we typically did the protection was we used a combination of suppression of low counts, and we did something called swapping as well. And there's actually a really fun news story in, I think, the New York Times or something like that. There's actually a couple who lived on the island where the Statue of Liberty was, right, or is, and they're the caretakers. And it was, the actual persons were two white people. But in the census data, at that block level, for again, really at the really small data, they showed up as Asian. And the answer was the question was, well, why are they showing up as Asian? Well, because if we publish that there are two white people in this block, that's divulging information about the person. So we actually swapped their household by pulling their household up out of the Statue of Liberty Island and putting it somewhere else, and then swapping in another two-person household. So that was called swapping. And we do something like that for the American Community Survey. How do we, what do we look at? We look at, we have a team of people who essentially are like good guy trying to be a hacker kind of guy, so they're trying to break our data. They're trying to identify people, do something called a re-identification attack. And so that's where they will do that, and we'll adjust our parameters. We'll adjust how much swapping we do or how much suppression we do based on their results. For the 2020 decennial, we used a new method of disclosure avoidance called differential privacy, which is like every statistic gets a little bit of noise. So if there were actually 50 males, maybe we publish 51 males or 49 males in a particular area. So it would be a little bit of noise that way. So that way we didn't have swapping, but we had a noise to every single statistic. But yeah, again, all of this is just based on, it's based on our internal research and our discussions with other people in the data privacy community to say okay, how can we best make sure that we're not divulging confidential information?
Fantastic. And again, if you need any more questions, please contact the census directly on their contact information at the end of the program. One more question. Describe the process for exporting your data created through advanced search for analysis.
Oh yeah, that's the next example I'm going to show.
Okay, thank you for the question.
Thank you. All right, so yeah, let's get to the download part, which is our next example. All right, so yeah, I'm making the most of your search, and I can actually customize my table and download it. So let's say if I'm looking for the percentage of poverty for Missouri, Illinois, Madison County, Illinois, oops, I put Missouri over there, sorry, and St. Clair County, Illinois, St. Louis City, Missouri, and zip code tabulation area 63001, which is here. How do I do that? On data.census.gov. So you can actually compare different kinds of level of geographies in your table on data.census.gov. So from here, going back to the landing page, and click on Advanced Search. I'm just gonna pick some random, real quick. Yeah, the first one, state. I want Illinois and Missouri. Check the box next to that state. And next, I'm going to select 2 counties. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on county. Illinois. Scroll down to 5, Madison County. and St. Clair. All right, once I check that, the next I'm looking for St. Louis City, so that would be under place, like, any kinds of towns, cities, that would be under place over here. Once you click on that, and of course you have to select your states first, and Missouri. And of course, I don't want to scroll down the whole list. It's a lot of cities and towns over there, a lot of places. I can use this search place text box over here, and then just simply type in St. Louis. And once I type in that, it will show you where is it, and I can just check the box next to it. All right, and next one I'm looking for zip code. And I'm just gonna select zip code tabulation under the geography section over there on the left over here, and I see zip codes over here. The same, select my state first, and of course I don't want to scroll through the whole list. I'm just gonna type in the zip code I'm looking for and check the box next to it. And after I select all of my geographies, I'm looking for poverty. I'm looking for the percentage of the poverty. So the next one would be topics. And the same, scroll down to the topics section on your left, income and poverty, and check the box next to poverty. All right, so after I select all of them, verify all my variables, or it's already on your filters panel on the left over here, and click on the search button over on your bottom right. And I can see all the available tables showed up. Over here, there are 243 available tables with the poverty topics. It's a lot, but I usually just click on the first one. You can always compare because you're not sure which kind of tables you want. You can always just click on the table title and to compare what kind of table you're actually looking for. You can preview what it looks like. But right now I'm just gonna use the first one, table S1701, poverty status in the past 12 months. All right, so let's see if everything's over here. Yeah, I see there's a percentage over here. In Illinois, Missouri, you can always tell the geographies showed up on the top: Madison County, St. Clair County, St. Louis City. Oh, but there's no zip code over there because the table, once you search, it would just default to ACS 1 year, which is the smaller geographies are not available with this product. So I have to manually switch to ACS 5 year. So from here, the box over here, 2022 ACS 1 year, I can see, yeah, this table is from ACS 1 year. I have to switch to ACS 5 year in order to see all selected geographies on my table. So once I click on ACS 5 years, and now I can see all my geography showed up for this table over here. Yep, zip code, it's over here. Okay, and this is a huge table. I'm only looking for percentage of the poverty, so I want to kind of customize this table to the style I'm looking for. On the top, I'm just gonna click on, let me make it small a little bit. I'm just gonna click on hide over here, this button, this icon over here, and deselect all of them first because I'm only looking for percentage. So from the search box over here, I'm gonna type in %, and I'm gonna select, check the box next to that text, and as you can see, once I select that one, it would just show all the percentage columns from there. And that's the number I'm looking for. And I'm just gonna click on hide again to hide that panel on the right. But now I don't want margin of arrows as well. And I can also just simply click on the margin of arrows, this icon on the top, and it would just hide it. And now you can see more clearly the percentage of the poverty for each geography you just selected. All right, so let's say if I want to download this data to your computer, how do I do that? It's pretty straightforward. On top of the table, there's an Excel button over here and CSV button over here. You can just simply click on that and it will just download to your computer with the format you just click on. Like this one, it's Excel. All right, so once you click on that, it will show you some information on the products you just selected. And when you click on the data, this tab at the bottom over here, then you can see all the data with the customized format. With this table over here, you can easily see the number over here. Sure.
Yes, that was very interesting. I spent days trying to do that and I couldn't.
Right.
But I wanted to know if there is a tutorial somewhere.
Yes, I'm going to show you all later
Okay.
after this as well.
Thank you.
Great
Thank you.
question. Because I know it's a lot of things in this website and, the data is it's very overwhelming because it's a lot. And definitely we offer a lot of free tutorials and workshops as well. Yes, sir.
In addition to a tutorial, I assume we can somehow use AI and let AI do a lot of that work for us?
Well, I turn it into
We
a
don't have
portal.
any AI stuff yet.
Can AI draw from that data?
We're actually working on getting AI to better integrate with our API, but it's not always doing that very well. So we've been in touch with Google and others to try to do that, but they don't do it yet. Yeah. What's up?
Just a quick note. I saw something really weird on my PDF where you can interact with an AI that might be in the PDF. Adobe Acrobat. It's a new thing that they just did. So if you were to save that maybe as a PDF file, you might be able to ask questions of the PDF file and they'll answer it. You might want to experiment with it.
Okay.
I don't know that much about AI.
Thank you for your questions. Okay, so Rex, we actually have just about a minute left.
Yeah, I'm
because we
just
want to
gonna-
leave some time for closing remarks. So if you don't mind, real
Sure.
quickly, he's going to show you the tutorials.
I'm just gonna show you all the resources where you can find on data.census.gov. So first of all, I'm not sure if you all using API or microdata access. We also have this link if you want to learn how to access data through the Census API. You can go to our developers page. If you're looking for download a lot of data and put in your computer, some systems, then API would be your thing to do. All right, and next slide. Feel free to subscribe our newsletter from that link or that QR code. We release monthly data.census.gov newsletter, and you can learn what's new from there. All right, and then this is another exciting thing. We offer free workshops, and you can just go to this website, scan the QR code, and click on the topics you're interested in. We provide basics one, advanced one, mapping, API, and microdata access. All right, and last but not least, feel free to submit your question, your feedback to us, because our website depends on your feedback. We try really hard to improve our website. Thank you. Thank you so much. One more thing, sorry. This is our data.census.gov resources page. So it's a landing page. So from there, you can find all the information I just mentioned earlier. All right, thank you all so much. Thank you so much.
Okay, so that concludes our workshop. I hope that you enjoyed it, and thank you for being so patient with us. Believe it or not, of all the years that we've been presenting and doing workshops and presentations, this was the first time we have done something like this where we integrated the subject matter, the data visuals, and also working with Rex and his team on how to use the census website and downloading things. So hopefully it wasn't a little too choppy, but we've learned a lot of lessons learned today. But I hope that you learned a lot today, and of course feel free to contact us. This presentations will be made available to you, of course, and then you can contact us as well for any more specific questions. Okay. Made in St. Louis. So I was asked to leave a few minutes for closing, I believe. So thanks again. Appreciate it. And
while you're clapping, could we please get a round of applause for our distinguished speakers? Thank you very much. One more time for our superstars from the US Census Bureau. And finally, because you know how Sal does, we have a special speaker to close us out. We've got Joe Palm. And Joe Palm is a St. Louis Community College alum, and he is the first ever Black student commencement speaker. That's right. Round of applause there. He also has a title here which may or may not be relevant and important to our conversation today. He is Director for the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Region 7. So he is continuing to ascend, and we are very lucky to have him close us out today. Joe, come on up.
Well, good morning, everyone. I want to start off and thank my brother, Sal Valdez. He's been working hard in the struggle for a long time. He supports so many people behind the scenes, and he's trying to move us where we need to be. He pushes me at HHS. He pushed me when I was with the state. He pushes the Hispanic Leaders Group. He pushes everybody. And just want to thank him. I want to thank the president, Dr. Julie Frickus, who Frickus, we have worked together many times already here at Forest Park, trying to put together some medical school camps and nursing camps and things of that nature. She's really transforming the college here and trying to get people opportunities to go from a CNA to RN, and so I'm really, this is my alma mater. I actually attended here before I transferred to St. Louis University, and I'll be honest with you, the professors here, the president then was Henry Shannon. Okay, he wasn't even president. When I made a commencement speech, I actually talked about why he should be made president, and he ended up becoming the president. And, I think that was, I gotta talk about my brilliant friend, Dara McClure there, that one of the smartest people I know that is a media expert, working the camera right there. And I hope that Forest Park recognizes how great she is. She's in the community, helping, doing a lot of great work. And of course, my brother Damon is here, my brother Gilbert here, that we used to be working out in the gym, and it worked out better for him than me, but, what can I say? The Maldonados, I gotta say hello to the Maldonados and that, but my name's Joseph Salvador Palm, and I'm the Regional Director for the United States Department of Health and Human Services. I currently lead Regions 7 and 2, covering the states of Missouri, Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, New York, New Jersey, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands, and 17 tribal nations. I'm very proud to serve as a presidential appointee for Biden's administration, especially since I have family roots in North St. Louis City. I grew up down the street from a place called Cabinet Courts, and you have to be old enough to remember Cabinet Courts, but a lot of people left that community and they moved west and moved to other areas, and they essentially they left the community. I ended up staying in the community for years. I served there. I ended up getting elected. The education I received here and other places, I took that education and looked at how I could transform the community. And Miss Build-A-Bear, Maxine Clark, actually ended up taking an interest in a building over there called the Delmar Divine because of the Delmar Divide. And Jorge Rio Pedre, who's my brother, actually runs that building, and I knew him all the way from Casa de Salud and the Hispanic Chamber, you name it. And so, I have roots in the Boot Hill because my great-grandmother had the first home built in Holmestown, Missouri. You might not have heard of it, but it's a town in Missouri where African Americans were displaced. Their land was taken from them. And they were placed on a highway, Highway 55 South. If you know where Highway 55 South is, Sykeston and that, they were placed on the side of the highway. Lincoln University actually has a documentary on it. So my great-grandmother picked cotton. She was displaced. They were sharecroppers. And so my grandmother migrated up here. And I'm going to talk today about real data. Because you can look up on that screen and move things around and make it say this and use AI and all that. But how does it impact the people? Because that's all I'm going to be honest, I'm a people person. I'm up in HHS dealing with regional administrators, asking them how what you do helps the people. How does it help the people that are starving right now? The kids that are being bullied, the people that are being murdered. I'm going to tell you, I saw all that growing up. So my grandmother moved up to St. Louis, and they used to have what was called a brown paper bag test. That brown paper bag test said that if you are darker than a brown paper bag, you can't live in certain communities. So my grandmother, God rest her soul, couldn't even buy her own house. She had to have my auntie buy the house, and she gave the money because my auntie was of a light-skinned hue. And as I travel to all these states and I travel across this world, I still see colorism. And colorism is what, in my opinion, has led to the data being classified so long as black and white. And I'm glad that President Biden has put so much funding in changing those classifications. The United States Census received an increase in funding for fiscal year 2025. I think it was about $94 million. And it makes a difference how you identify. And let me tell you how I know that. Because there was a time in this country where black people were identified as 3/5 of a man, of a human being. And that was legal. So identification makes a difference. There was a commencement speaker that essentially made an identification and said that women should be homemakers. Okay? That's what they should ascend to be homemakers. So how you are identified, and of course I don't agree with that, okay? Because women are great leaders, and we wouldn't be where we are without women in this country. And so it makes a difference with classification. And as they make incremental changes, now they're changing MENA, Middle Eastern and North African and that. But we got to go even further. And that's why we need people like you out here, Sal Valdez, Dr. Fickus, Gilbert, Damon, everybody. We all need to push and make change. There's a song that I hope that Sal has heard by Sam Cooke. It's called "The Change Is Gonna Come," okay? And if you haven't heard it, you might want to listen to it. I see some people younger in there. But I hope that a change is going to come. I want you to know, as your regional director, because I'm your regional director. And by the way, I'm the first person of color ever to be in that position. And that makes a difference. Who's sitting in the seat, how they're identified, that makes a difference. It's the reason I'm here today, because I'm Sal's brother, and he was able to call me and say, brother, will you be here to help support this? And yes, we support this. We support the change, and we're going to keep supporting change. And I promise you, as I'm out here as your regional director, whether it's WNAPI, whether it's whatever you want to name, I'm out here fighting for change. So with that, thank you for coming out here. I get it. I love data, but we have to learn how to make data work for the people and get out your office. I always say this, get out of your office, get in the community and help the community. You cannot help a community if you don't know the community, if you don't understand the community, if you don't know and understand what the community needs are. Don't sit in the office and make policy for people that you don't know. And that's why I'm out here as much as I can. So with that, thank you again. Get out here, get out of your office, get on the streets, help the people, go help the little kid you walk by every day, help everybody. Peace and love. Thank you, and God bless you.